Well, good morning, everybody. As it says on the screen, I'm Gareth Osbourne. I only use the doctor for one thing. I'm not a medical doctor, of course. I'm a doctor of entrepreneurship and business innovation. But I use it regularly when I say, trust me, I'm a doctor. So I'm going to give you some information today, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that information that we've received. The one thing that being a doctor allows you to do is hypothesize. So I have a hypothesis. I can't say it, but I've got one. Just to tell you 30 seconds, those of you who don't know APA, we are now the official association, professional body for PAs in the UK and increasingly globally. At this moment of time, we have 43,771 members, which arguably makes us the largest PA organisation, certainly in Europe, and if you want to extend that to your wildest dreams, we probably are the largest in the world. The American organisation's got 26,000 members, so we're quite large, and it'll tell you, the last slide on here tells you that we're 5 years old in a couple of weeks' time. So PAs are getting together, grouping to have their say, and I'll tell you what the say should. I'm not telling you what to say, but I'm going to tell you what I think the say should be. So APA is the official body, and our role in life is to elevate the status of PA, personal assistant, to that of a profession. And for any of you that don't think that's ever been done before, and you might have heard me say this before, so forgive me, 20 years ago there was no profession headed up by CIPD called HR. It used to be called personnel, and it was a back office function. They've done it. HR directors are talked about with reverence and respect in some quarters. Who laughed? No, we're doing the same with PAs, and my role in life and the role of the organisation is to make sure that PAs are recognised, valued and of course rewarded. So a little bit about our annual survey. Here's the greatest revelation of them all. You won't know this. This is new. New information. This comes from our survey. We've just conducted our annual survey. I say annual. We're on our third now. We're 5 years old. This is our third professional survey, and it's PA salary and attitudes. We've just published it. It's only been seen by our members so far. So if you're a member, you will have seen it. Otherwise, it's absolutely exclusive this morning. Hello, I haven't paid something. Your computer is about to shut down. You are a cheapskate and... No, what does it say? PAs are paid too little. I'll just clarify that. And the reality is, of course, most PAs are paid too little for what they do. And that's the reality. If you reduce a PA's job to just something small and in a box, then maybe PAs are paid okay. But for what most PAs actually do in terms of the business, they're grossly underpaid. Now, I'm not here to lobby on a political or trade union basis for we want more money, but I'm a great believer in rationalising what PAs do, what the role's all about, and then getting the right value for it. I'll explain that a little to you as we go on. That's the average number. That's as of February this year, we had 21,000 responses. And trust me, when we have a general election and you hear Moray go out and do a poll of the general public, and we get it as the first item on BBC News, they've surveyed 1,000 people. So 20,000 is what's called a statistically significant sample. So it's probably right. So the average PA salary, this is from entry-level PA right the way up to the highest paid, and that's the average, £26,900, and that's across the whole country, and that's low. So if you paid less than that, start thinking you ought to do something about it. If you paid more than that, just keep quiet about it. Not true at all. There's the range from our salary survey. We do have PAs, what, about 4% that are paid less than 15,000, and this is for a 40-hour week or 35-hour week maybe, but a full-time PA. But of course we also have significantly higher paid PAs. I'll just give you I wasn't sure that was going to be big enough to see, but I hope it is visible at the back. Yeah. That's the range, that's the UK average. You have to take London out a bit, as we all know. London is a little bit special, so as what we call an executive personal assistant, low would be 33,000, high would be 52 as an average. Remember, you might be paid higher than that, and I know plenty that are. But that's the range. We can always come back and talk about that later if we want. Just some facts for you. 10% of those surveyed were in the range of 50,000 plus, 5% were in the range of 100,000 plus, and the highest paid member of APA this year earned that. The highest paid PA I know, she's not a member, but hey, she could own us, let alone. But the highest paid PA I know earns that. Yeah? I often tell a story about, she's a good friend of mine, a lady called, have any of you ever supported Chelsea or have supported Chelsea Football Club? Yeah. Or better, you might not cheer when I use the name in a moment, but now this character called Ken Bates, who used to be the chairman of Chelsea, now the chairman of Leeds. Any Leeds people here? But reviled by many, but this guy's a businessman who puts lots of money into the football team. I love his PA. Personally love his PA. She's been his PA for 23, 24 years now, I think, and her business card says, Jane McGuinness, PA to Ken Bates, space, Deputy Chairman, Leeds United Football Club. And I always think that sums it up perfectly, because who else would he trust when he's not there? And he's not in the country that much. Chairing the board of his business and protecting his £100 million investment, his PA. So I always think that's really cute, and that sums up the role a lot to me. But that's the region. There's a lot of variance. And what's common about the last two, they both work for the managing director, CEO of high growth, technology-based small businesses. Now, their boss probably earns 12, 30, 50 million pounds a year. So in relevance, they're long poles apart. But that's where the higher salaries are. Why? That's the next question. I'm giving the answer away straight away. That was supposed to build, so forgive me for that one. I'm going to talk to you about why. Well, I don't think I have to tell you that the majority of PAs are women. It's a female-dominated profession, and I think from our membership tends to suggest 93% women and 7% men, but men tend to join an organisation like ours because they need some kind of, what they think is instant credibility. And we get a lot of people post a business degree who take a PA role to get close to a senior executive, and then they think springboard. But I think the reality is 97% female, and I'm sorry to tell you that's still the biggest disadvantage. I'm not holding myself up as a great feminist, but I do think one of the worst things that we have in this country is that in 1970, which is 42 years ago, we had an Equalities Act, pioneered by Barbara Castle, who was then not sure whether she was the Home Secretary, I guess she might have been. But there's an Equalities Act that says we are all equal. Forget all the other disadvantages that can possibly be exerted on the human race. Gender equality has been legislated in this country. Yet, as it says there, women are still paid 22% less than men in the same job in this country. So if there are any men that don't agree with that, leave now. You're not welcome. It's outrageous. I just think it's ridiculous. I've never seen that one myself. And you can take into consideration work absences to have kids and families and what have you. I'm sorry, men can't do that. And until we can, you can't claim to be, there be an inequality. That's a role that women fulfil. That sounds terrible. I don't mean it that way. But if women, with a profession that's predominantly women, had an equal pay, that 26,000 I've just shown you on a previous slide would go up straight away to 33,000, which frankly might be a tad better for what PAs do. So I'm just trying to say why, and I think that's the biggest one of all. And I'm not saying go out with a placard and lobby Parliament, maybe. But I certainly think that every professional woman engaged in this industry ought to write to their MP at least and be horrified by the fact that we still haven't got equality of pay. I think it's outrageous. The other one is lack of definition. We use too many words for what a PA is. I think too few PAs have job descriptions. It's one of the things that I do when I teach on our diploma course, DIP-PA course, is I ask people to bring in their job description. Not because I want to read it, I want them to actually go through the mechanism saying, well, have I got one or haven't I? And then look at it. And I think the job descriptions are miles away from reality. So the challenge is, and it's a silly thing, I say to peers, just go back to your boss and say, by the way, is this what you want me to do? Because most bosses will look at a job description and go, no, 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 nothing like that. I want you to do what you do. Well, that's what the job description ought to say. Because that's what people look at when they award salaries. They look at a job description. So if it's not right, you get paid for that job. And the job description for PA generally is poor. Go to our website, our members area of our website, and we've got a whole variety of them, which are much, much better than the starting level of most job descriptions. But people get paid against job descriptions. HR appoints against job descriptions. And you all know that the PA role might start at one level, but very quickly it escalates to do much, 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 much more all the time. So too few PAs have accurate job descriptions, and too many PAs are quietly promoted. I mean, my own current PA, Carly, came in as our receptionist, and I knew straight away that she had PA potential just because of the way she greeted people, the way she interacted with people, and I knew that she would be a future PA, and I suppose I hoped that she would be my future PA, which she has been for many years now. But PAs tend to be quietly promoted internally, so there's not an awful lot of hooray about it, and there should be. And we have inexact job titles. That person there, you might be pleased to know, is a police officer. Now, those people, irrespective of their rank, are also police officers. I might be the chief constable or a chief superintendent or even Taggart, but I'm still a police officer. That is my profession, the other is my rank, and I think that's where we get it wrong, and I'm quite outspoken about this. I think, as I'm a former chief executive, and I'm passionate about my PAs. I've had 3 of the best in the world looking after, and they still look after me mercilessly. If you haven't heard me say it before, I refer to them as witches of Eastwick. And they guide me along. But the profession, we are PAs, personal assistants. The key, if you use the Oxford English Dictionary, is in the word personal, and it means one's own. I'm sorry, I don't agree with the term executive assistant, because an executive tends to refer to a team of people, which I think dumbs down the role, and also those, I know we have 1 or 2 people here who have a sales or marketing bent, but those disreputable souls in, I don't mean that, I mean that as a joke as well. I'm looking at a salesman in the back corner. They've usurped the name executive assistant, which tends to be a fairly junior marketing role now, quite lowly, and I think that's a disadvantage. So I say we're all PAs, we can be junior PAs, or executive PAs. The word is personal, and it means one's own. And an assistant is somebody who helps in the fulfillment or achievement of a task or purpose. So it's one's own person who gets things done. That's what it's all about. That's what being a PA is, to me. The third reason why PAs are paid too little is that they're not members of things. Now, I'm not selling membership of AP. Of course I am, but I mean, I don't go out and actively promote it. We don't do that. We're fairly quiet in the way we do that. We've grown to 43,000 because people who join tend to tell colleagues and friends, and they join as well. But in a 2009 survey by the other more traditional professional bodies, the Institute of Accountants, very reputable organisation, and all the other professional bodies, a group of the more senior ones funded a piece of research to try and put a figure on what membership and qualification did for people's careers. And it's called Continuing Professional Development. What's it worth? And the survey, which was conducted by a very reputable organisation called London Economics, concluded that if you belong to a professional association and go through professional training, you will earn £167,000 more during your working life. Now, because 1 or 2 people said to me, you can't use that for PAs, because PAs, you know, they don't work at the same sort of level. So I went out to London Economics and said, OK, give me a real figure. Assume career breaks. Assume the other issues that people tend to throw at women. And we've brought that figure down. But it's still over £90,000 a year. Career earnings for being a member of a professional association, being continuously updated, being made aware of events like this, coming to this, that you guys are all participating in professional development by being here. So don't remember that. So when you go back and anybody says to you, do you have a nice swan song? If you had a nice couple of days away, how was your holiday? Things like that. It was continuing professional development. It was for my career, is the thing to say. So too few PAs historically have joined things like this, and too few PAs have been allowed to develop their career by qualification. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment.